So can you tell us more about her? We're excited.
Yes, this young woman, her name is Audrey Pe, is a junior at Stanford University and the founder of YTech.org. It's a nonprofit organization based in the Philippines that aims to educate, inspire, and empower youth to break gender barriers and to use tech to make a difference in society. YTech currently has 26 chapters in 10 countries around the world. At Stanford, she is a science, technology, and society major with a minor in education. She is also a research assistant for Stanford's Graduate School of Education with a focus on projects dealing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her work with YTech has garnered her recognition as a 2020 Tatler Gen T Leader of Tomorrow, a 2019 Global Teen Leader, 2020 Pinterest Council of Courage member, 2018 Zonta Young Women in Public Affairs District Awardee, 2019 Zonta Women in Technology Asia Pacific District Scholar, Opportunity Desk 30 Under 30 Changemaker, 2020 Women in IT Advocate of the Year finalist, and 2019 Women in Tech Global Aspiring Teen Award finalist.
A four-time TEDx, ASEAN, and UN speaker, she has delivered over 100 plus talks and has also been featured in local and international publications like Forbes and CNN Philippines. Her work was also highlighted in the 2020 Nations Girls Education Initiative documentary. And fun facts about Audrey, she loves romantic comedies. Her favorite one is The Sleepless in Seattle. Oh, I like that as well.
Mhm.
She is currently an investment intern in Senior Venture Partners based in San Francisco. She loves to run and have completed 2 half marathons. She's hoping to do a full one soon. Here to talk about breaking gender and accessibility barriers using technology, streaming live from Costa Rica, ladies and gentlemen, Audrey Pe.
Speaking to you all today. My name is Audrey Pe, and I'm the founder and former executive director of WeTech, which is short for Women in Technology. WeTech is a global youth-led nonprofit organization founded in the Philippines that aims to educate, inspire, and empower youth to break gender barriers and use tech to make a difference in society. Currently, WeTech has over 26 chapters across 10 countries around the world. I founded WeTech when I was 15 years old, a sophomore in high school, and this was born out of experiencing a lack of support in entering the tech field. I was born and raised in Manila, Philippines, where I engaged in the local Philippine school system, wherein you have a mandatory computer class you take when you are in middle school. I remember taking this computer class and honestly not being that excited about tech as a prospective future career, because what we were taught in that class was how to use Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint. So nothing that I found too engaging, until one day my teacher decided to go off the curriculum and introduced us to this game where a snake had to navigate a maze using blocks that represented lines of code. From there, I was really intrigued and wanted to learn more about programming, but my teacher said that it wasn't part of the Philippine curriculum. So if I wanted to learn more, I had to go online and look for resources from there. So that's what I did. When I wasn't studying or in extracurriculars, I was Googling how to learn how to code. I found websites like code.org, Codecademy, and I looked at Harvard's introductory CS lectures as well that were completely up for free on YouTube. From there, I decided to start going to different competitions, hackathons, tech mixers, and conferences. And I noticed this recurring trend where in many of those events, I was one of the few women in the room and one of the few high schoolers in the room. Eventually, I got really tired of seeing this disparity in tech, and I grouped together with a bunch of girls at this one particular hackathon. And I asked them, why don't we start our own Women in Tech conference and events geared towards inclusivity and diversity in tech, rather than just waiting for the adults to start them for us. And that's what we did. WeTech initially was a blog used prior to that conference to feature the different stories of women in technology, ranging from people in robotics to biotechnology to software engineering. And when we transitioned into hosting that Women in Tech conference, we brought together speakers mentors and participants mainly from middle schools, high schools, and colleges in the Philippines, all of whom to learn about the different achievements of women in technology. We noticed the disparity, and that most of the participants in this conference were mostly from middle to upper class backgrounds, and that they had the resources to go to BGC, to go to the gig, to participate in this conference, and they could go home and look up CS tutorials and engage more with tech in future events and in online resources. And in the Philippines, where many people do not have that privilege of accessing a laptop, a Wi-Fi connection, for instance, we knew that if we really wanted to embody equality in the tech industry, we would have to go to the provincial areas of the Philippines and bring technology to where it is needed the most. So in 2018, WeTech transformed its mission and vision from not just inclusivity for women in tech, but for people with all socioeconomic statuses. And we went to Marawi, a province I'm sure many of you are familiar with, that was bombed in 2018 due to suspected terrorists, wherein many students were still living in evacuation centers and still had gaps in their schooling due to evacuation. And we brought secondhand laptops that we got from donors and constructed curriculum for those students to engage with the Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, the basic computer literacy that I got to learn growing up in Manila, that I found out many of those students growing up in the province did not have such an opportunity to learn and engage with. In fact, many of the students that were using the laptops had never used laptops in their life. They'd never even used Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, much less coded a single line of a programming language. And so I look back at those experiences and I think about how many Filipino youth potentially have careers in technology, but instead slip between the cracks because they simply do not have the resources to engage with it. When we talk about technology as the future, when we hype it up and we talk about things like AI, for instance, and all the developments in the ecosystem, I think it's equally important to think about those people that lack the basic access to technology to simply do things like online classes or learn independently or get the privilege to be able to build something of their own using technology. So at WeTech, we believe in not just building a future for tech, a future that is 50-50, while it is important, we equally believe in building a future where all youth, regardless of their gender or socioeconomic status, have access to tech and the potential to use it for social good. And so, with our 26 chapters across 10 countries around the world, from really exciting places like Malaysia, Singapore, to the Philippines, to the USA, like parts like California and New York, for instance, to Michigan, to Ukraine, we all believe in that very, very fundamental belief that everybody should have access to technology as a basic human right and not just a privilege. The pandemic has really shown us how so much of our access to education is reliant on our access to the internet and to these basic things like a Wi-Fi connection and a laptop or a desktop. And so we've also been partnering with different local and international organizations around the world to help access and bridge the digital divide for many of those students who have gaps in their education because they lack the basic tech resources to engage with their day-to-day studies. If there's anything that you take away from this talk, I hope it's that you also know that you do not have to wait until you quote unquote grow up in order to start a project or make a difference in society. I remember growing up in Manila that I was always told that I had to wait until I graduated, until I finished college, until I worked a couple of years in a job, for instance, and worked my way up perhaps the corporate ladder, that perhaps then I could think about what impact I wanted to make on the world. And I strongly push back against that. I don't think that we need to wait our turn. I don't think that in a very, dare I say, conservative society like the Philippines, I don't think we need to defer to our elders in waiting to act upon issues that we care about in our community. So to all the Filipino youth listening to this, seeing my talk and thinking about how they want to solve problems in their community, I encourage you to think about a problem that really bothers you, that keeps you up at night, and to lean into it and to research further. I remember when I was experiencing, for the first time, the realization that I'm represented in the tech industry. I would always look up articles before I went to bed, read up on statistics, run reports about it on editorial pieces by other women in tech from around the world, because I was really hungry to learn more about this field and this issue. So if there's a problem in your community that you are deeply bothered about, don't feel like you have to wait years into the future before acting upon it. Do your research, find different, perhaps events, conferences, online even, that share the same belief as you, the same urge to work on this issue, and reach out to them and collaborate. At WeTech, we've built this global community with over 800 youth around the world, not just by chance, but because we've actively bonded together and worked towards hosting all these different conferences, events, and outreach programs. So if you're also interested in joining our cause and helping make a more equitable tech industry, not just for people in the Philippines, but around the world, please feel free to reach out as well. Another thing I want to add is that I'm a full-time student, so I'm currently a junior here at Stanford University, where I major in science, tech, and society with a minor in education. And if there's anything you also take away from that, I hope it's that you know that you can also do all of these projects, start a nonprofit organization, and do this kind of work while also being in school. I think that a lot of the opportunity that I get here at Stanford, I think it's a top computer science university here in the United States, if not the world. I see a lot of disparity and that there's so many resources here, and almost this idea that you can't not learn about tech because you're so surrounded by it, and it encompasses so much of the community. And I wish they help the Philippines get to that point where we have that level of technology, that level of tech literacy, so that everybody can have a shot at starting their own company or learning how to code, regardless of what gender they are, regardless of what socioeconomic status they're born into. That is the mission, essentially, that I am working towards, that my team is working towards, and I hope that if you feel the same way, and if you want to help contribute to that vision, you can reach out anytime you want. Thank you.